There is a lot that goes into making a knife, a lot more than you might think. We're going to talk about that today on this episode, number 225 of KniFAQ, where I answer all your questions, sharp or dull. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the KnifeCenter. That's Thomas behind the camera.
Economics.
I knew you were going to say some random word.
I started an audiobook.
Okay, well, good. It's good to better oneself.
Doesn't have any pictures though.
And if you learn economics, maybe you'll be able to afford more than just a ratty old pickup truck sometime.
Or maybe that's the best understanding of economics.
Jury is out. Let us know in the comments. Well, anyway, if you're new to this series, pardon the bickering banter here at the beginning. What we do is we answer your questions in this particular show, and we get the questions from the comment section below the videos. So if you've got a question, you can drop it below, and it might be included in a future episode. First question today from EDC Academics. Slightly a long question, so bear with me. Hi, DC, I have a question for you. Why is it that fixed blades aren't cheaper than folding variants of the same knife? The baby banter siblings are notable examples of what I'm talking about, but there are many others. Several knife designers have commented on how much easier it is to design a fixed blade than a folder. Side note, design is different from manufacture, but we'll get back to that. And it seems obvious that the manufacturing of a fixed blade is easier when compared to that of a folder, yet fixed blades remain at about the same price point as folders of similar size materials, etc., etc. So it still seems, I know that the inclusion of a sheath will add the retail cost of a fixed blade, but even cost of a folder,
You did warn us.
But even so, it still seems that paper to product cost of a fixed blade should be less than the paper to product cost of a folding knife. Are there vagaries to the design manufacturing process I'm not taking into consideration, or is the price simply set on the basis of what the market will bear? Well, to a certain degree, the price of anything is set at what the market will bear.
It's in my book.
That's actually, you had no idea how appropriate your economics comment was here at the beginning. We actually
never know what the questions are.
We didn't plan this at all, actually. So the short answer is, manufacturing is a little more complex than many of us tend to realize. But you do bring up a few good points there. You mentioned the sheath, for example. The Baby Banter fixed blade here comes with a Kydex sheath with a loop here at the back. Sometimes, I'm not saying this is necessarily the case with the Baby Banter because I don't know specifically, but sometimes, especially on some budget-oriented stuff with a pretty decent sheath cost can rival that of the knife cost for the manufacturer. But there's also setup time involved. Like you're making two different things now. You don't just need the tooling and training and setup on the knife. You need the same cost sunk into whatever sheath you are making. And certainly there are ways to do cheaper sheaths as well, but molded sheaths like this require a little bit more than simple nylon stitched sheaths, for example. I made a lot of bullet points here, so pardon me if I reference my screen here a little bit. When it comes down to it as well, raw materials ultimately are a very small percentage of the cost of any particular knife. Let me go through some of the costs that do change. We said sheath, obviously. More blade steel, especially if you're dealing with a more expensive blade steel, will increase on the fixed blade versus the smaller amount of steel on the folder right here. That's also going to affect the heat treat process. Things in a production standard are heat treated in batches. So you've got a fixed volume that you can put your blades in and heat treat it. Well, it's going to cost the same amount to run one cycle on that heat treat oven, but you can fit more folder blades in than you can the fixed blade because it takes up more space. So that is a cost that changes per each. Shipping costs for the manufacturer can change based on the size of the fixed blade. Now, interestingly, the Baby Banter, the boxes are almost the same. The fixed blade box is a little bit taller, but a little bit narrower. So it's not a huge difference there, but that is a consideration. You can fit, again, like the heat treat analogy, you can only fit so much into a finite space, but the cost isn't necessarily going to change for that space, to move that space from one space to another space. Other costs, however, don't change, whether you're making this fixed blade or the folder. Like, you're not just paying for the product in a way in this case. You're also paying for the manufacturing space, the place it's made, the rent, the utilities on that place, the upkeep on the machines needed to make those machines or devices, items.
It's all machines.
It's all machines. Any company worth their salt is going to have a good warranty department. That costs money. That's going to be a portion of the cost of any knife you buy. The insurance they have to pay for their business. The taxes the business has to pay for everything they do.
Paying off the mafia.
Paying off the mafia. You need the protection racket, you know? Benefits for the workers, you know, paychecks, healthcare, retirement. And you got to pay the person running the equipment. You got to pay the person marketing the product. You got to pay the person packing the boxes, the person shipping the boxes out, etc. Yeah, the actual percentage of the price you pay for a given knife is only actually a much smaller percentage of it than one might think goes to the actual knife itself. That's the long answer made short enough. Interestingly, however, $59.50 is the price on the Baby Banter fixed blade here. The standard Baby Banter with a liner lock is $61, and the new crossbar locking version, $68. So the fixed blade is actually the cheapest or least expensive version here. But yeah, there you go. Yeah, it is interesting, like, sheaths are often that X factor. They don't cost as little as many folks, I think, tend to think as well. And the attachment hardware, like a tech lock, that's gonna add, you know, $5 or $6 probably to a manufacturer's cost. I don't know, I'm just spitballing a number here. That's why some manufacturers do without even like attachment hardware for their sheaths sometimes, unless you supply your own. Anyway, hope that helps. And hope it didn't come off as too critical either, actually, because it's really interesting to think about and helpful to remember. It's these economics, thank you, Thomas, word of the day. It's why a folder, you know, you don't just translate it to folder versus fixed blade. It's why a folder with a 3-inch blade doesn't cost 75% of what a folder with a 4-inch blade costs, typically. It's like everything else is kept the same, you know? Because you got all these fixed costs that go into things, as mentioned. Anyway.
Hope that helps.
I hope that helps. I probably could have wrapped that up a little more
rapidly
in a little more enlightened fashion, but my brain kind of petered out there near the end.
Maybe you need to read this book.
I need to take a nap is what I need. All right. Measured once, cut twice is the next segment. And yes, I'm going to devote a little more time to it today because last week we talked about karambit ringed folders without a hawkbill or karambit style blade as being something more useful for EDC. And I knew I was forgetting something when I did the video, and helpfully the comment section came to my rescue. Two in particular here. Volkan Hoshi says, hey David, measured once. For non-karambit karambits, what about the Fox Knives Dart? Karambit style finger ring, wave opener, and Tonto blade. Fits the question quite well in my opinion. Yes, it does. We don't have it in stock today either. But what came back into stock is a knife that I did want to show last week, the Ronin Shoto from Spartan. It's not quite the same design as the Fox, but it is similar and has the similar features going on. Tonto blade, 154 cm steel. Says 3 1/4 inch, but that looks about a 3-inch or so blade, give or take a little bit. Finger ring, wave style opener, which as you're drawing it from your pocket, if you angle it just right, you can catch your hem and it'll deploy the blade as you draw it, which is always cool. Normal price on this is about $155. We've got it on sale right now for $131 and some change, so that's pretty cool. I like the Tonto in general as a suggestion for folks who like want something that's kind of like tactical and you know, menacing like that, but still want something that's useful day to day. This is a very useful blade shape. Definitely worth checking out there. And probably the best response, a few folks mentioned it, but I have Benjamin Jenny or Jenny here. Not sure how you pronounce the last name, Jenne. I don't know if it's German, it could be like Yin, I'm not sure.
Ben.
Ben says, the CRKT Provoke EDC is a really interesting knife in the realm of fingering straight blade knives. Yes, sir. This would be a great option here. The price on these, it's not as inexpensive as the EB, which our questioner was initially interested in, a now discontinued knife. These are about 175 bucks. You've got an aluminum frame. The blade is D2, 2.5 or so inches. It's chisel ground on the back with a secondary bevel on each side. So it's not quite a chisel edge, but yeah, you know. The cool things about these, the pocket clip takes a little bit of getting used to. It just pinches out, as you can see there, and slides over your pants. You can also use the back of this to kind of wave style open it, but it's real great for drawing, popping open just like that. It's a lot of fun. They're really secure too. Like, you've got multiple points of failure here to worry about before the blade comes, you know, crashing down on your fingers, so to speak. And even if that were to happen, it doesn't naturally fold towards your fingers. So that is a cool thing. Very useful blade. You can get it in the blue/satin combo or the all black right here. Take your pick. They are the same price, I believe. Let me confirm that real quick.
I don't know the questions. You don't know the prices. It's
They
all
are
on Burn.
the same price. No, this is 1 cent cheaper right now.
Bargain.
You can take that to the bank and they'll charge you 25 cents to deposit it. Getting taken by the bank fees and the taxes today. Like, it's all coming for us.
Economics.
That's true, man. Lightning round for today. Abdullah Khalil Karim says, question, folding knives with steel scales, e.g. Leatherman's new knives. I skipped a section.
Whoops.
We'll come back to buried treasure in a minute. We'll finish the lightning round first. E.g. Leatherman's new knives. Any reason for not using MagnaCut for the knife scales? Yeah, the economics of that don't make much sense. Unnecessary cost would be the thing. Things that make MagnaCut good for a blade steel, it being tough and corrosion resistant and abrasion resistant, which means it holds an edge a long time. You don't need something that fancy to do the same job on a knife handle scale. You just need, you know, something, in this case, that's tough and stainless. You don't need your handle to hold an edge, so why would you pay extra to get that?
The economics of diminishing returns.
Kind of the economics of bragging rights, I guess, but
There's damage steel for that.
there is damage steel for that. Honestly, like, there's no real reason to do it. There's no practical reason to do it anyway, we'll put it at that. Medicus5565, DCA, can you please elaborate on what you mean by finger safe closing action? Thanks. Yes, absolutely. You can find, button locking knives like this. Crossbar locking knives are prime examples. When you close the blade, your fingers never cross the path of that sharpened edge. And that is what I mean when I refer to a finger safe closing action. Does that inherently mean, a liner locking knife like this, where your finger does cross the path of the blade? Does that mean that is unsafe? No. I just feel like a finger safe closing action is a little bit more safe, if that makes sense. Is it a necessity? Not for most folks. It's just something could be a difference maker in your particular decision making. All right, backing up now to Damyr's buried treasure. We almost forgot about that one.
Yeah.
We're on the letter Q today, thanks to his question. We're going several weeks ago. We're going through the alphabet, showing something that's never been shown on the channel before. Closing in on the second time we're going through the alphabet, and this will be the end after this. We'll do something different once it's over. QSP is the brand. They've got a lot of stuff. We've shown a lot of stuff. There's two knives in particular that we've never shown on the channel before. One is the Eagle Karambit. 4977. You got a D2 blade, bit over 3 inches long, G10 handles, liner lock, finger ring, reversible, or actually single-sided clip on this one. A very roomy handle. If you wanted to EDC an actual Karambit, but wanted to have plenty of handle real estate for using it utilitarian-wise, this could definitely be an option for you. Maybe a slightly tight finger ring if you have big fingers and we're wearing combat gloves. I don't know. Quality is certainly really good. QSP stands for quality, service, price. So the quality is good, the price is really good. The service, can't really tell from the knife here in front of you, but it's pretty good too. The other knife we haven't shown from them is the Raven. recurve bladed drop point flipper here. 46 bucks and some change. 3 3/8 inch blade of D2 steel. Really nice contrasting grains on the blade itself. Inset liner lock. Ball bearings in the pivot with great flipping action. Loop over pocket clip. Really cool radial milling going on here as well. You just get a good deal no matter what QSP you buy, quite honestly. So I'm sorry these haven't shown up on the channel heretofore. Now we're back on track. Just in time.
Barely.
Just in time for our final question of the day, which is, of course, our most seriousest question of the day, which comes to need to keep walking. Hey DCA, I just started a new traineeships, which requires a mix of herb chopping, boning, whittling, and stone carving. What would you recommend for this burgeoning necromancer? Hey, I got it for you. It is the Zampopo from Condor. Just look at this wicked witch finger shaped blade. And yes, I am going to say that should be a new standard blade shape, the witch's finger right here. Totally wicked. Goes further than that, apart from the blade perfectly suiting the aura of a necromancer. Zampopo refers to the leafcutter ant, and that is the shape of their mandible has essentially influenced this blade shape. But in my research, a sort of colloquial translation of Zampopo or slang usage of the word means restless person. How perfect is that?
Eternal.
Trying to figure out a way to work economics into that one too.
They've been around a while.
I would check out the Zampopo. That should do what you want. That's all we've got for today, folks. Keep your questions coming. Keep your most seriousest questions coming as well. Please and thank you. If you've got any alternate suggestions for folks, if you want to argue about why knives are priced the way they are, the comments section is free to all, to be a free for all, quite honestly, right there. Anyway, if you want to get your hands on any of these knives, check out the links that are in the description. Those will take you to KnifeCenter.com, where don't forget about our long-running Knife Rewards program so you can earn some free money to spend on your future knives. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera. We're signing off. See you next time.
Do necromancers ever worry about informed consent?